The TV commercial being filmed warns the British people about the dangers of AIDS. It's part of a government.
Wait a minute. What is AIDS? Do you guys know?
I've heard a lot about it, but I really don't know what it is. I think it makes you sick, but I'm not sure.
I'm Andy Answer, and I can help you learn what AIDS is and how it affects those who have it. Come into my laboratory and we'll learn all about AIDS.
You mean we're supposed to follow you, a talking dog, into your laboratory? It doesn't make sense.
Well, just stand up and prepare for the ride of your life.
Gee, Andy, that was cool. Where are we now?
This is my special laboratory where I keep track of all information about AIDS. And that's why I'm called Andy Answer. I have a lot of answers about AIDS.
If you know the answers, can you tell us what AIDS is?
AIDS is a deadly disease that affects many thousands of Americans. People in more than 100 countries have it. At the present time, there is no cure for AIDS, but doctors all around the world are working on finding one.
Andy, do any kids have AIDS?
Yes, there are children with AIDS, and later you'll meet them and see that they're just like you. They want to play, go to school, and have friends. But now, I know you've heard a lot about AIDS and are wondering what it is. During your visit here, you're going to meet kids with AIDS, learn what activities spread the AIDS virus, and discover what AIDS really does inside a person's body. But first, we're going to travel to New York City to meet a young girl who has AIDS. This is Celeste, a 9-year-old girl with AIDS. She lives with her family outside of New York City. Celeste was born with AIDS, and because she has AIDS, she has a hard time fighting off sickness. That's why she often gets very sick and cannot always be in school. Even though Celeste has AIDS, her friends and family like to play with her. They are not afraid of catching the AIDS virus from her. We spoke with 2 of her friends about having a pal with AIDS.
They're the same as us.
They're human beings like us, so why should they not get treated like us?
We asked her friends if they think it's okay to play with kids with AIDS.
Of course.
It's okay
Oh my
play with them.
goodness.
It's okay to play with little kids who have AIDS, or big kids.
If you should have a child with AIDS in your school, think of Celeste. And remember, you can be friends and play together. Now, from meeting Celeste, you can see that it's fine to play with children who have AIDS. But you're probably wondering how Celeste got AIDS and how other people get this virus. And a virus is a tiny bit of matter that can make you very, very sick. Now, in Celeste's case, she was born with AIDS because her mother had AIDS, which she got from sharing needles. Doctors now know that there are 2 main activities that can pass the AIDS virus from one person to another. One is by having sex with someone who already has the AIDS virus. Another is by sharing needles, and that means people using needles that others have already used. This could occur while people are giving each other tattoos, by being blood brothers, ear piercing, or even by using needles to take drugs that come not from a doctor but are sold on the street. Now, most of you don't have to worry about getting the AIDS virus because you don't share needles and are not ready to have sex. But some of you may have heard some stories about AIDS which are not true. So here's Dr. Roger Peaks from Stanford University to tell us some ways in which you cannot get the AIDS virus. Dr. Peaks?
Thanks, Andy. Hi, kids. We're here in my laboratory where we study all about AIDS. And I'm going to tell you some more things about AIDS. Now, I know you've learned a lot about AIDS today. You even met someone who has AIDS. And I want to tell you some of the ways that you cannot get AIDS. Now, you can't get AIDS just by touching someone. You cannot get AIDS by touching, by shaking hands, or by hugging. You cannot get AIDS by touching a doorknob after someone with AIDS has touched it. You cannot get AIDS by sharing a desk, sharing a gym locker, or using the same toilet that someone with AIDS has used. Let's pretend you're at a swimming pool and someone with AIDS is swimming in that same pool. You don't have to worry about getting AIDS that way either. You cannot get AIDS by swimming in the same pool with someone who has AIDS. You can't get AIDS by sitting next to someone on the bus who has AIDS. AIDS is very, very hard to get. Now, some people think that you can get AIDS from things like insects or mosquitoes, but it's been proven scientifically that you can't get AIDS that way either. And so, kids, we've learned a lot about AIDS. I want you to remember that it's safe to play with kids who have AIDS and to study with kids who have AIDS. And now that you know, I want you to go out and tell your classmates and your playmates so they too will know that you cannot get AIDS just by casual contact. Back to you, Andy.
Thanks, Dr. Peaks. So, kids, you now know that you can't get AIDS by just touching or even hugging a person with the virus. The way AIDS is spread is by having sex with a person who has the virus, or by sharing needles. Now we're going to Hamilton Heights, Indiana, to meet Ryan White, a 16-year-old boy who got AIDS from infected blood. Ryan has a disease which causes him to bleed a great deal if he cuts himself. For this reason, he must receive injections of blood. When Ryan was much younger, he accidentally was given some blood infected with the AIDS virus. And that is how he got this bad disease. But you don't have to worry if you should need blood for an operation, because today, nearly all blood is carefully checked and tested, and it is extremely unlikely that you would receive blood infected with the AIDS virus. Because Ryan has AIDS, he's often too sick to go to school. He has spent many weeks in the hospital with a serious disease called pneumonia, which often affects people with AIDS. At the first school Ryan went to, he did not have many friends because people didn't understand his illness, and so they were afraid of him. At his new school, Hamilton Heights in Cicero, Indiana, it's a different story. Here Ryan has many friends who like to both study and play with him. They know that you can't get the AIDS virus from touching, hugging, or even skateboarding with a person who has AIDS. Ryan talks about his new school.
You know, everybody's been real nice and they've all welcomed me. They seem to be more informed about the disease and they're a heck of a lot nicer.
Some of Ryan's school friends talk about going to school with Ryan.
He's had a lot of trouble in other schools, and we just decided that we didn't need that here.
And the school welcomed Ryan in all activities, from band to the football games. He was welcome everywhere.
My older sister met him at Riley Hospital, and she gave him a hug, and I wanted to be there because I wanted to give him a hug.
He's just a student like everyone else going to our school.
The school had a huge rally in which the governor of Indiana came to give Ryan an award and to congratulate the students and teachers at Hamilton Heights for being so understanding of what it's like to go to school with a classmate who has AIDS. So you can see from the way the kids at Hamilton Heights treat Ryan that it's okay to play and study with a person who has AIDS. We've met two kids who have AIDS, and you've learned that you don't have to worry about getting AIDS because it's spread through sharing needles and by having sex with a person who has the AIDS virus, activities that you don't do. We also learned that some people, like Ryan, got AIDS by receiving blood infected by the AIDS virus. But you may be wondering why AIDS makes people so sick that they eventually die. To understand how AIDS works in the body, we're going to travel inside a person. So hold on, kids. Here we go.
Whoa! Wow, Andy, you sure move around. Where are we now?
We're in a person's body, inside the bloodstream. In fact, inside one of the many long tubes called arteries, which carry the blood through the body. Inside the arteries are small pieces of living material called cells. See? There go some white cells now. Their job is to help your body fight off sicknesses.
Andy, do you mean these cells keep you healthy?
That's right. They are the troops that protect your body. They are part of the immune system, which fights against germs and sickness. Think of it like a war. In this battle against disease, there are many fighters. Let's meet them. Here are the leaders of the troops fighting off infection and illness, the T4 cells. They lead groups of white cells who attack and try to kill any invading infection or illness. Over there are the germs. They are living creatures that make you sick. In healthy bodies, when a T4 cell sees the germs, it signals the troops of white cells to attack and kill them. This battle includes many different types of white cells. Each has a special function. So you see that the white cells fighting with their generals, the T4 cells, protect your body from getting sick. This is what doctors mean when they talk about the immune system. When the AIDS virus sneaks into the body, and it's very difficult for it to do so, it begins by attacking the T4 generals. Once the AIDS virus has killed the generals, the armies of white cells have no leaders. They become lost and disorganized. They are unable to unite and fight the germs. Once this has happened, the germs begin to make a person sick. It can take a long time for them to take over. That's why a lot of people with the AIDS virus don't look or feel sick for many years. And so we see it's not the AIDS virus that kills people. The AIDS virus destroys the immune system, leaving the body with no protection against disease. And that's why many people with AIDS become very, very sick and even die.
We get the picture. We understand.
Well, that's very good. Now we're going to travel back to my laboratory. Hold on. Now that we're back in my laboratory, let's go over what we have learned. First, we met Celeste and Ryan, two children who have AIDS, and we found out that it's okay to be around people who have AIDS. We learned about the activities that can spread the AIDS virus, sharing needles, and having sex with a person who has the virus. Dr. Roger Peaks told you how it's not possible to get AIDS from the simple, everyday things you do in and around your school. And finally, we discovered what the AIDS virus does inside the body, how it destroys the immune system, leaving the body without the defenses it needs to fight off sicknesses. So the next time you hear about AIDS, you should have a better idea of how people get it and why it makes them sick. If you have any more questions, ask your parents or your teachers. That's all for now. I've got to get back to my work. See ya.